The thing under the mattress. When I was 12, we moved into a crumbling duplex on the edge of town, where the grass was yellow and tall enough to hide snakes. My mother worked the night shift, leaving me alone with the creaks and sighs of the old place, the air thick with the scent of mildew that clung to my clothes and hair. It started with the scratching. The first night, I thought it was mice under my bed. A soft, wet scratching like tiny claws raking across wood, coming from beneath the sagging mattress. I pressed my ear to the sheets and held my breath, listening. It stopped when I moved, so I told myself it was my imagination, the house settling. The second night, it grew louder. It came in bursts, then long drags, as if something was pulling itself along the floor. I tried to drown it out with a blanket over my head, but the darkness behind my eyes only made the noise sharper. The third night, it whispered. I woke up, my eyes burning, the moonlight slicing across the floor. A voice, hoarse and low, slid from under the bed, saying words I couldn't understand. It sounded wet, like someone trying to speak with a mouth full of water. I ran to my mother's room, but it was empty. She wouldn't be home until dawn. I stayed in the hallway that night, knees pulled to my chest, eyes fixed on the door to my room. It stood open, darkness spilling out, and I could hear the thing whispering to itself, scratching at the floor, as if searching for something. The next morning, I checked under the bed. There was nothing but dust and a few broken toys, but deep scratches were etched into the wooden floorboards, grooves filled with dark flakes that looked like dried blood. I tried to tell my mother, but she was tired and angry, her eyes shadowed and dull from work. It's an old house, she said. It makes noises. She didn't look at me as she spoke. That night, I heard breathing, long, ragged breaths, too big to come from any mouse, rising from under my bed, so close that I could feel the air moving against my mattress. It stayed there all night, never moving, breathing in the dark. The next day, I asked to sleep on the couch, but my mother snapped, saying she needed me to be strong, that we couldn't afford to live somewhere else, that I was making up stories for attention. Her voice cracked, and she left for work without saying goodbye. That night, I didn't want to sleep. I lay there with the blanket pulled up to my chin, staring at the ceiling. The breathing came again, and this time I could hear something shifting under the mattress, pressing upward against the springs, making the bed lift and fall softly. It began to talk. Come down, it said, its voice bubbling like swamp water. Come down, come down, come down. I squeezed my eyes shut, tears sliding into my ears, and it started to laugh, a broken, rattling laugh that made the mattress vibrate under me. The next morning, I found small, dark handprints on the floor next to the bed, as if something had crawled out during the night, dragging its wet palms along the wood before slipping back under. I stopped sleeping. At night, I sat on the edge of the bed, shivering, listening to it whisper my name, the mattress shifting as it moved underneath me. I was too scared to leave the bed, too scared to stay. I counted the seconds until the sun came up, watching the shadows crawl across the walls. Then one night it grabbed me. A cold, slimy hand shot up between the mattress and the frame, wrapping around my ankle. I screamed and kicked, but it pulled, dragging me down, the mattress folding around me, the springs cutting into my skin as I slid toward the darkness. I saw its face, gray, bloated, with empty holes where the eyes should be, black water dripping from its mouth as it grinned. It smelled like the pond behind the house, like rot and old leaves, and its hands were so strong, so cold, pulling me down as it whispered, "Stay with me." I fought, clawing at the sheets, the springs snapping as I struggled. My fingers found the edge of the bed, and I pulled with everything I had, screaming until my throat bled. The mattress tore open, a black hole yawning beneath me, and for a moment I saw what was under the bed. Water. Dark, endless water, with pale shapes floating just below the surface, their eyes open, mouths moving silently as they drifted in the black. I pulled free, falling onto the floor, gasping, the hole closing with a soft sigh as the mattress settled. The handprint on my ankle was dark and cold, and it didn't fade for days. I tried to tell my mother again, showing her the bruises, the broken springs, the dark stains on the floor. She wouldn't look at me, her hands shaking as she smoked another cigarette, telling me I was scaring her, telling me to stop. That night, she stayed home for the first time in weeks, sleeping in her room with the door locked. I lay on the floor, refusing to get on the bed, listening to it move above me, the springs creaking as it shifted and whispered. It called my name again and again, until just before dawn, when it went quiet. I fell asleep from exhaustion, the gray light of morning filtering through the curtains. When I woke up, the mattress was gone. There was a wet trail across the floor, leading to the closet, the door hanging open. My mother was gone, her room empty, the bed cold. I checked under the closet door, pressing my ear against the wood, and I heard breathing. Number 2. The thing that waits in the corn. It was a summer that felt like it would never end. Hot wind combing through the tall corn around our house. The cicadas droning, the nights sticky and long. Dad was always gone, working 2 towns over, and Mom was so tired she'd fall asleep at the table, coffee going cold in her hand. That left me and my brother Lucas alone most days, roaming the fields, daring each other to run deeper into the stalks where the paths narrowed and the corn whispered in the breeze. They said the old Miller place down the dirt road past our fence line was cursed. People said the Millers disappeared one night, their dogs barking for hours, their porch light flickering like a dying firefly, until the house stood empty and silent, the corn around it growing higher every year, unharvested. We'd heard kids at school say they saw things in the windows, dark shapes that moved wrong, and once someone said they saw a pale hand tap on the glass, asking to be let out. But that summer, Lucas wanted to prove he was braver than me. He said he'd go up to the Miller house at midnight. He said he'd knock on the door 3 times, and then we could both leave, and he would be the king of summer. I didn't want to go, but I was 13, and he was only 11, and I couldn't let him do it alone. The moon was a yellow coin in the sky when we slipped out the window, flashlights off, shoes quiet on the dirt. The corn was so tall it made the world small, shadows and outlines dancing as we passed. The smell of warm earth and something else. Something wet like when you leave meat in the sink too long. It was silent except for our breathing, the rustle of dry leaves brushing our arms. We found the house by the outline of its broken roof against the stars, the way the corn stopped a few feet from the porch, as if afraid to get closer. The boards were warped, the windows empty, black eyes and a skull. Lucas grabbed my hand, and for a moment, I thought we would just run. Back home, laugh it off, say we were too chicken. But he took a step onto the porch, and it creaked like something sighing in its sleep. 1, he whispered, knocking once, his knuckles pale. I heard something move inside, a scrape like wood on wood, or something dragging. 2, he said, his voice trembling, knocking again. The air felt cold, though the night was still warm. I smelled that wet meat smell again, closer now. 3, he whispered, knocking the last time. Silence. Nothing moved. Nothing came to the door. Lucas turned to me, a grin starting to break on his face, but it never finished. From inside the house, something knocked back. Once, twice, 3 times. The knocks were slow, heavy like someone hitting the inside of the door with a closed fist. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. Lucas grabbed my hand again, and we backed off the porch, but the door creaked, opening by itself, swinging inward with a groan. We shouldn't have looked inside. There was a hallway, black as pitch, but further down we saw a shape. It was tall, taller than Dad, and it was bent over, its long arms hanging low, fingers scraping the floor. It was so pale it nearly glowed, its skin thin and stretched, its head tilted at an angle too sharp for a neck to hold. It started walking toward us, but its legs didn't move like ours. They jerked like a puppet on strings, its feet dragging as it stepped. I grabbed Lucas and we ran. We tore through the corn, the stalks slashing at our faces, the rows spinning, the dark shape moving behind us, brushing through the corn with a hiss. We didn't look back. We didn't need to. We could hear it breathing, raspy and wrong, like someone trying to suck air through water. We reached the fence by our house, jumping over, tearing our shirts, landing hard. We ran inside, slamming the door, locking it, both of us gasping, sweat and tears mixing on our faces. We told ourselves it was over. We told ourselves it couldn't cross the fence. But that night, as we tried to sleep, I heard it again. Knock, 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 soft on the window. I froze, clutching the blanket, staring at the window, where a pale hand with long fingers tapped gently on the glass. It was too high for anyone to reach, but it was there, tapping, asking to be let in. Lucas was awake, I knew, though neither of us spoke. We both pretended to sleep, squeezing our eyes shut, waiting for it to go away. In the morning, it was gone, but the glass had 3 long smudges, like something greasy had touched it. We said nothing to Mom. We pretended nothing happened. But the next night, it came back. Every night. Knock, knock, knock. Sometimes it came to my window. Sometimes it went to Lucas's. We stopped sleeping. We were too afraid to leave the room at night, too afraid to look outside. We would hear it walking around the house, dragging something, its breathing wet and rattling. We tried to tell Mom, but she was too tired, too busy, and she didn't believe us. She said it was the wind, a tree branch, a bad dream. But we knew. Then one night it stopped knocking. It came inside. I woke up to the smell of that wet meat, stronger than ever, filling the room like a choking cloud. The window was open, the curtains swaying. I turned my head slowly and saw it, half in the window, pulling itself inside, its arms bending the wrong way to reach the floor. It unfolded, rising taller and taller, its head brushing the ceiling, its eyes, sunken holes, blacker than the night, fixed on us. Lucas screamed, and it tilted its head, studying him, its mouth opening slowly, too wide, its jaw cracking as it yawned out a thin, reedy hiss. I grabbed Lucas's hand, pulling him off the bed, running for the door. We stumbled into the hallway, screaming for Mom, but the thing was there too, somehow, standing at the end of the hall, waiting. It moved toward us, each step making the floor creak, that smell flooding the air, so thick I gagged. We backed into Mom's room, shaking her awake, but when she opened her eyes, she froze, staring past us. It was in the doorway. It leaned down, pressing a hand against the floor, its head almost upside down as it looked at us. Mom screamed, pulling us behind her, grabbing the lamp from the nightstand, throwing it at the thing. It didn't flinch. It just stepped forward, the lamp shattering around its feet, glass crunching as it moved. Mom told us to run, to get to the car, to drive, don't stop. We didn't want to leave her, but she pushed us, screaming, and we ran. We heard her screaming as we fled down the hall. We heard the things hiss, long and low, like a snake uncoiling. We heard the wet, tearing sound, and then nothing but the thud of our feet on the floor. We didn't look back. We ran into the night, through the corn, down the dirt road, until we found the neighbors and told them everything. They called the police. They found the house empty, the window broken, the floor scratched with long, deep grooves. There was blood, but no Mom. No sign of the thing. They looked for days, but no one found her. No one found it. They said it was a wild animal. They said it was a break-in gone wrong. They didn't see the handprints on the window. They didn't smell the wet meat in the air. They didn't hear it breathing at night. Lucas and I went to live with our aunt in the city, far from the corn, far from the fields, but at night sometimes I still hear it. Knock, knock, knock. And when I look out the window, I see a shape standing under the streetlight, too tall, too thin, its head tilted, its black eyes watching, waiting, because it didn't stay in the corn. It followed us, and it will wait forever until we open the door again.